Good afternoon. My name is Doug Plasencia, and I'm the president of the ASFPM Foundation, and I'm pleased to be here to talk about the foundation today. But before I start, the first thing I need to do is I need to put out a thank you. Thank you to our trustees, associates, the executive office, and the donors, many of whom are in this room today. Because the ASFPM Foundation is an entity that is 100% reliable and relied on volunteer activity of those that you are seeing on that slide. In terms of some of the trustees and some updates, first I would like to thank Faraz McCarram and Scott Adelman, who will be stepping off the Board of Trustees. Scott and Faraz, can you please rise and be acknowledged? Joining the Board of Trustees, and as I say your name, if you could stand, is Jerry Sparks, Jeff Sparrow, Matt Koch, Brad Anderson, Tim Hillier, Molly O'Toole, Don McAvoy, and Marco Bourne. So again, for these new trustees coming onto the board. And if all trustees and associates could please stand just for a group acknowledgement. So trustees and associates. So I'm doing this for a very important reason. Let's acknowledge them. Because each of those folks that are strategically positioned around the room are going to be twisting arms looking for donations. So if you, before you leave the room, stop and talk to one of them to help support the foundation. So for those who are not familiar with the foundation is a separate entity from ASFPM under the umbrella. We operate under our own board of trustees. We are a subset of the association, but we operate for the most part independently, supporting various types of activities. Our focus is to bring donor value. It's not necessarily to do projects, but as donors in this room and donors everywhere, we want to bring donor value. So we like to hold unique events. For those who have heard of the forums and symposia we hold, those are some of the unique events. We fund ASFPM special projects. You'll be hearing more about that. We partner with chapters. We have gone out state by state, have done this 5 times now, holding local meetings and symposia. We support students. There have been ongoing scholarship activities within the foundation. We are currently discussing, and this is going to be a heavy lift, and this is why we need your support, but we're currently discussing the notion of starting a full-time scholarship program that could fund a student for 4 years coming from a needs-based community that was flooded. A very exciting idea, a long stretch, a long reach, but it's our way to give back to the community through our donors, so we're discussing this, and I hope next year we can say that we're ready to launch. And then likewise, we fund the requests of others. We've helped to sponsor things in Boulder, such as the Gilbert White Monument. We have done books, we have done other things with the value that is there. In terms of the foundation at work, if you take a look at the left, I think some of you would recognize some of the things we have touched. Show of hands, how many people in this room are CFMs? Okay, every one of you who is a CFM benefited from the foundation through the dollars we helped to support kicking that program off. Those of you who have used no adverse impact toolboxes or have even used the term no adverse impact, we have helped to fund the material and media to be able to get there. If you've been in Washington, D.C., and you've been to the National Building Museum to look at designing for disasters, by the way, that event has been extended through September. We helped to partially fund that event. If you go in and you take a look at the fact that we've held 4 forums, 5 symposia, this year we kicked off a very exciting speaker series called the Larry A. Larson Speaker Series. And frankly, I'd like to acknowledge Larry for his contributions and the honor we bestowed by naming that speaker series after Larry. The purpose of the speaker series, however, is to go back and provide value to our donors. We held an event at the National Building Museum. We had Ali Zadi, who was the Associate Director at OMB, one of the top political appointees at OMB, that came in and talked about the Flood Risk Management Standard. It was a unique event. It was the opportunity to help mingle. We actually raised a few dollars in the process. Actually, I think our board, we passed around the credit card swipe machine, and we raised $7,500 at that event, plus some. Now, speaking of the credit card swipe, Suzanne, can you stand up? And is Diane in the room? Diane, if you can stand up. They will be posted around the room or at the back of the room that if you want to make a credit card donation to the foundation, we can do it very quickly. They're very efficient. I can't believe how fast the money came out of my pocket. But again, those are the types of things that we're looking at trying to support. So what is our planned activities for next year? First, we're going to be holding a Gilbert F. White policy forum on climate-informed science. This has come together very quickly in the last 6 weeks, but for those who have been listening at this conference about the flood risk management standard, the federal flood risk management standard, there's this little tricky part of the element or of the standard that says, well, we're going to build to either 100-year plus 2 feet, or we're going to build to the 500-year, or we're going to use climate-informed science. I think a lot of people are saying, what is it? What is climate-informed science? And so the foundation saw the opportunity to put together a forum. We're going to bring in 100 of the top policy experts in the nation, from practitioners, academics, and policymakers, to sit down and have a one-day discussion to say, we may not know exactly what it is at the end of one day, but we sure know the questions we need to ask to be able to get there. Because it's the feeling of the foundation trustees that this is the Achilles heel of the federal flood risk management standard, and if we can help solve that and bring the questions to the table, it will help to push the success forward. So again, your donations will help support that. We intend to do 2 state symposia. I believe New York may be on the cusp of doing one, plus one other. We're looking at developing the 4-year scholarship program, which I mentioned before. We will be looking to commit to update no adverse impact how-to guides on emergency services. You've heard people talk about flood programs in review. The flood programs in review document is a critical document for ASFPM policymaking, but I'm beginning to call it the textbook. It's 400 pages of textbook, and it's not something that you necessarily just take around and leave on the table. What we're going to do is we're going to work with the association to come up with a document that perhaps has more of a reader-friendly USA Today type feel to it, that's maybe 15 pages, 20 pages, that summarizes the key points. It becomes a leave behind that you can take to policymakers and others to help explain the positions. And then likewise, we've been asked to support an ASFPM library upgrade, primarily bringing in collections from some of our folks who would like to donate those to help catalog that, amongst other activities. Basically, we're planning on about $233,000 of work this year. You start to look at everything that goes into that, you start to look at the volunteer activity. I would suggest that our impact as a foundation probably is approaching $500,000 a year if you look at the free labor that's being donated by many of our members. So as you move forward, as you look at where you're going to be spending your dollars, where you're going to contribute from a tax-free standpoint, we're a good cause, we help the profession, you help move the ball forward, and we need your help. Make a difference. If you don't have the ability to be able to donate, give us some time. If you want to take a gift home, go to one of our auctions. By the way, if you make a $100 donation and you want to go to the foundation reception Wednesday evening, there's going to be some cool stuff there. And by the way, even if you can't donate, take a look at your name badge. And if you see someone in the upper right corner with a little teardrop, that's someone, raindrop, excuse me, a little silver blue raindrop. Raindrop, a happy raindrop, a smiling raindrop. That's someone who personally contributed $100 or more this year, or a corporation that has done a substantial contribution. Take the time to thank them. If you want your own personal raindrop, we have more. Come see us. And finally, if you're a member of a chapter, we're going to be reaching out and working with chapters because of the fact that we want to bring benefit to the chapters, but we want to start talking about programs of long-term giving because it's our vision, it's our ideal to move from $230,000 and beyond over the next 10 years, but we're going to take it one step at a time, and your help is essential. So thank you.